A cat programming note. Puma Pants got dry cat food today instead of the canned stuff. I ran out. And I put the dry food down in front of him, and he was like, "Really?" And but he still ate it, and then went walking off in a huff with his tail in the air, which is definitely a communication. Anyway, that's why I only have one cat with me today. Today, I'd like to talk to you about. This week, I'd like to talk to you about the bathtub and the bowling ball. Ever heard the story of the bathtub and the bowling ball before? You haven't, because it's never been expressed before. Let's see what comes out. If you had a bathtub, standard all-American bathtub, and it was filled to the brim, and you dropped a bowling ball inside of it, it would be rather disrupted, I guess you might say. The bowling ball would definitely hit the bottom, clonk, and the water would be much displaced, and any remaining water in the bathtub would be very much disturbed, and the bowling ball would remain in the bathtub, quite visible, and it would be a while before whatever water was in the bathtub calmed down. And sometimes I think of my own consciousness as a bathtub, and then life drops bowling balls into my bathtub, and sometimes it feels like one after the next. It used to feel like every day. Every day was my very small bathtub with a very large bowling ball dropped in it, with much clanging and much displacement of water, and the water actually never calmed down. It just was always moving, and there was always another bowling ball. And wow, what a way to live life. Constant bowling balls being dropped into your bathtub. Now, when you guys fly to Hawaii and your other exotic places, you know what it's like to be 30,000 feet above the surface of the ocean. You look down and it's kind of a shimmering sheet, isn't it? It's occasionally you can see what appear to be waves or ripples, but for the most part, it appears to be quite a virtually infinite sheet of endless and infinite water. Imagine dropping a bowling ball into the ocean, and certainly the local ocean, like in the very small area that the bowling ball dropped, would be partially disturbed, but would the entire ocean be disrupted? Obviously not. So when I think of God's consciousness, I think of a quadrillion Googleplex number of bathtubs all lined up side by side. And that's God's consciousness. Each and every one of us is an individual, how shall we say, bathtub. And we're getting to the point where, as we grow in consciousness, as we begin to share more and more of the infinite reservoir of consciousness with God, if you will, the bowling balls make less and less of an impression. And this reminds me of the spiritual line that we're in the world, but not of the world, because every day can be seemingly a consistent barrage of bowling balls. So this week, let's have a look at our moment-to-moment experience like we always do, but notice opportunities to have one more bowling ball dropped into your bathtub and have it go clang and displace a lot of consciousness, a lot of peace. Because today you're going to look at the news, you're going to get on the freeway, you're going to drive your car, you're going to talk to your spouse or your family member, and it would be somewhat silly to think that whatever bowling balls are being dropped into us, that God, the infinite ocean, can't very quickly replace or calm. In other words, the disruptions, the disturbance in our consciousness is not a problem for God consciousness. And if we refer to that larger state of consciousness, we'll get to the point where we're in the world, but not of the world. That doesn't mean detached or disconnected. It means able to be in the world and be of optimal service, productivity, and joy, and yet not shaken and disrupted by every bowling ball. Pretty soon, it'll just be a pea thrown into the bathtub. It'll barely make a dent, and we're all headed in that direction. So today, keep in mind bathtubs and bowling balls. Have fun with it, and we'll see you tomorrow.